I didn't talk for 2 weeks, and now I'm enlightened. This is how to go from losing your voice to winning at Zen. Do you have any health conditions? Nope. Do you smoke? Nope. Any allergies to general anaesthetic? Nope. None. Zip. Right, well, that's us doctors covered then. You lay back, close your eyes, think of cuddly bunnies hopping through green fields, and take a dozen long deep breaths through this face mask while we prepare to violently prise open your mouth with a large steel clamp and fiddle around with our little sci-fi laser tools down your throat until we emerge with a hunk of your flesh. This is how it went down, as I lay staring at the white ceiling in my cute little hospital gown onesie, just prior to surgery. The mission's purpose was to slice off something called a vocal cord polyp. It's a lump that forms on the vocal folds due to acute strain or similar stress. Teachers, singers, actors, and clumsy barefoot people near hardwood coffee tables all get them a lot. The vocal folds themselves are tucked away down the throat. They're two pieces of flappy skin that make various shapes to make various sounds with the air that passes through them. To be honest, the vocal folds look a lot like a vagina, which gives a whole new dimension to the phrase eating pussy. Anyway, it is important you know what a vocal fold polyp looks like. So, to continue down this avenue, let's imagine that you've got a face right up against a vagina while, say, you're assuming the 69 position. Are you visualizing it? Good. Now look at the base of the vagina and you'll see there's a lovely engorged clitoris. Except this is a hungry clitoris that has swelled to 1/4 of the size of the vaginal opening. Still visualizing? Good. Now you're coming pretty close to getting an understanding on the ongoing assault being perpetrated in my poor little throat. It's like a watermelon superglued itself to your front door entrance, and every time you try to maneuver around it, it tells you that you're an insensitive asshole. So to conclude the throat anatomy class with one final vagina-assisted explanation, a group of surgeons in a first world country were basically about to drug me and inflict female genital mutilation. Now, this throat lump had been giving me increasing grief for around about 6 months or so, changing the timbre of my voice to sound much like the starting of a lawnmower. Chicks dug it big time. If I strolled down the supermarket humming Barry White tunes, I'd turn around at the checkout to find a harem of doe-eyed, hypnotised women looking at me expectantly like I was about to announce the one simple trick to eternal health and happiness. As enviable as this sounds, there was a bronze lining to this silver cloud. Every couple of weeks, I'd completely lose my voice for around about 2 days, including once on stage halfway through a theatrical play. And that was about as awkward as you imagine it would be. My office boss at the time was partial to a little woo-woo therapy, and the diagnosis was throat troubles equals not speaking your truth. I was apparently holding too much in, and it was messing with the correct chi flow of my throat chakra. Hey, maybe she was right, but heaven help her if I decided to let loose with my truth. I opened my eyes, convulsed for a bit, received a few jolts of morphine, and was then informed by my surprisingly attractive surgeon that the op had been a complete success. Unfortunately, she wasn't looking at me doe-eyed, awaiting the one simple trick to eternal health and happiness. As I was about to lay some Morgan Freeman on her, she commanded me to lie back, relax, and then not use my voice for 2 weeks. And just like that, it had become apparent that I had lost my superpower. It was still in that surgery room, separated from Daddy, sitting in a small tin bowl in 7 pieces. All I had now was a sore head and a very quiet foreseeable future, and my cute little hospital gown onesie. Now, I've never been on a silent meditation retreat, but I've always been intrigued by the premise. What doesn't sound riveting about pottering around for 10 days, doing nothing but alternating between peaceful meditation sessions, steeping loose leaf tea, and meandering amongst nature with your hands cupped together behind your back like a mildly gleeful grandpa who just remembered it was letterbox checking time. The first few days of recovery was just managing pain, sleeping, and sucking down some mush. Double cream and I actually became best friends. It works surprisingly well in a throat recovery context. It's calorific and soothing, with no sugar or carb-induced blood sugar fluctuations. Keeping on the level isn't great for someone who constantly craves stimulation. So when I was bored and I was about to roll down a hill just for the fun of it, I would distract myself by mastering the art of text-to-speech communication. Via a cool little phone app, I basically became Stephen Hawking, except without the bulbous intelligence. However, I could still masturbate. And that's one all, Stephen. About 5 days in, and I began to adapt to my newfound muteness. I realised how little you actually need to talk in life. During a typical domestic day, all of what comes out of your mouth is junk. Largely meaningless mixtures of words that are more about keeping the peace through polite direction or polite agreement than they are about announcing anything of any great importance or originality. Communication, after all, is 90% non-verbal, coming largely from vocal intonation and facial expressions. You can say the word hi as Stephen Hawking and get a purely no-frills, factual, verbal interaction rolling. Or you can say hi in the 90% language without even saying the word hi. I mastered the art of simply pressing my lips forward and then curling them up in an acknowledging 1-second smile that said hi and so much else at the same time. Happiness, passive-aggressiveness, ambivalence, excitedness, or even a sly smuggle of a fuck you inside the hi. This one is for advanced mutes only. Don't try it at home. Now you may be very surprised to realise what you can actually achieve without using the words you thought you needed. Here's some examples. Tell someone you appreciate them. Possible. Place your hand on their shoulder and nod your head. Work from home. Possible. Just use Gmail or message chat instead of your voice to simulate office banter. Distract yourself and reduce your productivity. It's just like being in the office. Do your shopping. Possible. When the cashier asks you any questions, point to your mouth and then make an X with your wrists. Customer service crew are some of the easiest to get on with, actually. Their job is basically to help you give them money. No one ever balked at the fact I couldn't talk. In fact, most people increased their enthusiasm to make me satisfied. It was probably a nice break for their constantly chewed off ears. Now, the only difficulty I did have was when I attempted to order a burrito. My Mexican waitress began her usual spiel. "Welcome to Mexican Cantina. May I take your..." When she stopped abruptly mid-sentence and profusely apologised upon seeing me point to my mouth and then cross my wrists. "Oh, my apologies," she said as she took a step back and stared at me fearfully, at which time I realised she took my mannerism not as an explanation that I couldn't talk, but as instruction for her not to talk. She also forgot to put on the $2 extra guacamole, which may or may not have been on purpose. The most profound realisation during a period of muteness is how your internal monologue changes. You can't make sounds with your mouth, but you still think in words and still hear the sounds you'd make to speak them as internal dialogue. Without any audible release, these thoughts are stronger and less elusive, more present within your awareness, like they're being spoken to you by someone or something else. It's this state that anyone with some meditation experience under their belt would be familiar with. Things feel different. You're unaffected in the same twitchy, reactive way by things. As the yogis say, enlightenment is the same as regular life, just that you're floating a few inches off the ground. There is another element that assists your positioning within this blissfully contented state. When faced with an opportunity to give your opinion on a decision or seize control of a situation, you voluntarily surrender with an attitude of passive agreement. You can't argue for what you really want. You can't diffuse a tense situation with humour, nor joke around with anyone, or impress them, or entertain them. You can't even exercise your basic human right for shared spatial existence with a polite, "Excuse me," to someone with a big fat booty blocking a supermarket aisle. You just begin to go along with everything, because you learn that agreeing is easier than the alternative, a long series of post-it notes. People close to you learn to phrase everything as a binary, to which you've basically got two response options. A yes response, which is a head nod, or a no response, which is a head shake. And if these options are insufficient to correct or clarify any nuances that may arise from the ensuing interaction, then you realise that frustration at your communicative ineptness is purposeless. So the only other option is taken. You become strangely serene about it all. Because I couldn't affect anything, I stopped trying to. All of a sudden, it didn't bother me that my girlfriend had left clothes and tissues and makeup shit all around the house. I didn't really give a fuck if a friend was 15 minutes late for a coffee date, because I wasn't able to chat or enjoy their company or contribute to their happiness anyway. Instead, I became the great observer, seamlessly melding into the unified consciousness. I was an effortless, completely relaxed and aware oneness purveyor that had just one opinion about all the complexities we busy ourselves with. Meh. I'd lost my voice, but in its place, I'd surprisingly developed a completely new superpower. My newfound combination of self-assured contentedness and humble agreement led to me being happier, less bothered, less outcome attached, less distracted. What I did do, I was much more focused on when I did it. Partly because of my altered mental state, but partly also because everyone left me the fuck alone. When you are unable to lend a sympathetic ear, no one can unload their shit on you. To most people, that reduces your use to the same category as a can opener, laying silently in a dark drawer until they pull too hard on their ring. 14 days into my muteness, it was back to reality. Just as this profoundly new, enlightened way of existence was beginning to become normal, my consciousness, floating like a balloon off into the sky, was about to pop and begin its descent from the heavens. Now I live in a world with others. My much-savoured break from everyone's bullshit, and their much-savoured break from mine, was not to last. As the 2-week recovery period lapsed, I began to re-enter the world of words, the first of which were actually, "You're a fucking idiot!" To a radio caller, before I even knew I'd said them, they were out. Bold. Profound. I was back. From there, it didn't take long to lose my enlightenment and reintegrate back into vanilla society. Soon enough again, I was whinging to my girlfriend about the state of the news and hijacking mundane conversations by edging them into risque topics just for my own entertainment. What I learned from this experience was much like what you learn when you accidentally slice open your thumb. You don't realise how damn much you use it. There's so much to focus on and do every day that we have zero gratitude for everything that seamlessly works, just gets on with its role within the magnificent product that is the human body. Your voice isn't just a function your body performs. Your voice is your method of communication. It's a real-time channel of feedback you use to interact with the world. Additionally, words are not just a means to ask for a Big Mac and fries. When you speak, you make yourself part of the unfolding of things. You contribute to other people's experience of life, moments of humour, support and empathy, appreciation and acknowledgement, sense-making of the human experience. Now, I still love to talk absolute shit over a beer, but since losing my voice, I had the opportunity to learn to see a little clearer, hear a little sharper, taste a little more astutely. I observed and appreciated a little more often. I became better. And then I got my fucking voice back and realised I didn't need to. Beer?